This broadcast is brought to you courtesy of amateur radio station VK7AX in Ulverstone, northwest Tasmania.
Welcome to the VK7 Amateur Radio News for the first day of March 2026, your gateway to what's happening across the airwaves in Tasmania and beyond. Coming to you from the Tasmanian Amateur Radio News Desk is Justin, VK7TW, with the latest updates, stories and insights from our amateur radio community. We're broadcasting far and wide thanks to our dedicated team, DMR Talk Group 5 and D-Star Reflector 91C via the digital group. HF relays on 1.862 MHz by Graham, VK7GS 3.670 MHz by Gary, VK7JGD 7.140 MHz by Dale, VK7DG 14130 by Ross, VK7ALH and 28525 MHz by Tony, VK7VKT. And locally in Hobart on UHF-CB channel 24 and HF-CB 24 11 metres with Mark, VK7FMAC. And missed it live? Well, catch the replay Tuesday 8 p.m. on repeaters VK7RAA in the north and VK7RHT and UHF-CB 24 and HF-CB 24 in the south. Stay tuned and enjoy the news. And we start with RAOTC News, the March 2026 broadcast. Well, further to that mentioned on the WIA National News, this is another reminder about the RAOTC broadcast on Monday the 2nd of March 2026 at 8 p.m. local time. That's tomorrow night for those listening on Sunday. And as mentioned, this is an historical broadcast from years past by Alan Doble, VK3 AMD, from April 2003. The first item details the life story of Rex, VK4LR, who was born with a disability, and despite this, he claims that the opportunities afforded to him by his ventures into amateur radio led to him becoming a university lecturer. The second item pays special attention to a QSL card bearing the call sign OM7 Fox Fox, and the Fox Fox stands for Flanders Fields. It was issued by the Radio Club of Ypres in Belgium, and it commemorates sacrifices of Allied forces, including Australia, during World War I. Alan reviews a book titled A Special Job for the Wheatstone Girls, 1943-45. It concerns a group of women who operated high-speed telegraphy machines over a cable that ran between Cape York and Port Moresby. And the humorous conclusion this month is unusual in that it discusses the gender of computers. For detail, listen at 8 p.m. Monday local time over the VK7RAA RHT statewide network, and also in northwest Tasmania, a video adaptation of the broadcast at 8:30 p.m. AEST via BATC video stream with archives to the YouTube channel. The audio will be relayed on the 70cm repeater VK7RDR and 2m repeater VK7RTV in the northwest. The broadcast date again is Monday, March the 2nd. Callbacks will follow, and please call in if you're able. This provides the RAOTC Broadcast Committee with an idea of how many are listening to these broadcasts. And if you miss the off-air broadcast, you can listen to the audio file, which is available from the RAOTC website. And 73 from Peter, VK7PD. And Alara News, let our voices be heard. Well, Sunday, March the 8th is International Women's Day, and around the world many YL groups are encouraging their members to be heard on the air. As such, Alara will be issuing a special International Women's Day certificate for YLs to make 5 contacts with other radio operators, or for the OMs to contact 5 YLs. Names and locations need to be shared. A conversation is encouraged as well. All amateur radio bands and modes, including Echolink repeaters and digital systems, may be used. To gain the certificate, logs need to be sent to publicity@alara.org.au before the 31st of March 2026. OMs, please listen out for YLs. YLs hope to hear you on the air. And that's 73 from Linda, VK7QP, the Alara VK7 representative. And Tassie statewide events. This is Meet the Voice. The Meet the Voice will be held on Sunday the 29th of March 2026, commencing at 11 a.m. in Ross. The Meet the Voice trophy will be awarded. Car boot sales. Bring any items you want to sell. It's a BYO everything event. Bring your barbie, your food and drinks and socialise. Meet the voices you talk to on the radios. Any queries, contact Al, VK7 Alpha Nancy, on 0417 354 410. And that's 73 from Al, VK7 Alpha Nancy. And Tassie Hamicon Radio Conference. Save the date. Well, planning is well underway for the 2026 Tassie Hamicon, and the theme group has done a fantastic job and come up with the following theme for 2026. Hack the Ether, Education, Ingenuity, Connection. Hack the Ether celebrates the experimental DNA of amateur radio, where education meets invention and community meets curiosity. The 2026 conference invites participants to push beyond nostalgia and build the hobby's next chapter through practical learning, creative collaboration, and purposeful leadership. This is not a conference, it's a living experiment, and attendees will work their way through 1.5 days of keynotes, workshops, poster sessions, talks, and hands-on sessions designed to connect makers, communicators, and educators. And the conference will again be fully catered. Tassie Hamicon 2026 is the meeting point of experimenters, educators and storytellers. It's where education becomes exploration, ingenuity sparks collaboration, and connection builds the future. There are 4 main focus areas to the conference. 1 is Hack the Mind, which focuses on education and learning futures. 2, Hack the System, focusing on ingenuity and experimentation. 3, Hack the Culture, which focuses on engagement and connection. And 4, Hack the Future, focusing on leadership and purpose. It happens on Saturday, 7th and 8th of November 2026 for the conference, and we are planning pre- and post-conference events. Location will be the UTAS Sandy Bay campus. Keep your eye on the conference website as details unfold, and that's 73 from the conference organising group. And John Moyle Memorial Field Day. Well, the John Moyle Memorial Field Day is approaching again, running from 0100 UTC on Saturday the 21st of March through to 0059 UTC on the 22nd of March. The contest is structured into 8 3-hour blocks, with stations able to be worked again in each block. Following rule changes introduced on the 18th of January 2026, the event now includes all amateur bands up to 241 GHz, excluding the WARC bands. Phone contacts are worth 1 point, CW contacts 2 points, and multipliers apply for each call area every 3-hour period. With distance-based scoring removed, only serial numbers are exchanged, starting at 001 and incrementing for each contact. For logging, N1MM has effectively become the standard platform for VK contests, and accurate log formatting is essential, and the contest manager should be contacted if assistance is needed. There are multiple entry categories across bands, modes, and operational duration, whether single or multi-operator, home or portable. With favourable weather still on our side, it is an ideal opportunity to head portable, boost VK7 participation, and make sure a few more Tasmanian call signs appear in the logs. And that's 73 from Richard, VK7ZBX. And you are listening to VK7 Whiskey India, and this is the VK7 Amateur Radio News broadcast. And statewide SSTV nights. Well, a busy net night that saw the following participants. VK7's TW, AX, ZCF, ZAB, HHS and Oscar all sharing 60 photos. A few photos didn't make it north, so remember to transmit CTCSS tones of 141.3 to enable VK7RAF to link to Launceston. The main themes were a VNA and test jig to check common mode chokes, European and local porcupine radio vans, using QRP while the flock are following QRO, safety warning signs on a machine lathe, and about using a telescope while swimming. The social media succulent Chinese meal incident with Jack Carlson. Worldview by the science guy Bill Nye and a wise Fred Flintstone. Other highlights included a batch of bottled Satsuma plum relish, truth in advertising, explosive consequences of ignoring emails, and now time to liberate the platypus, a lock-picking learning aid, in honour of our new Star Wars, a new transistor, a CW decoder using the Goetzel algorithm, and some amusing dad jokes and proverbs. And again, Tony VK7AX interconnected VK7RJG to his SSTV International Gateway, and VK7's exchanged photos with PC1K and PA3EKI in the Netherlands. Please remember to leave a 30-second break between transmissions to allow the European countries a chance to send their photos. Note Ken VK7KRJ and Steve VK700's fully automatic 24/7 monitoring sites that allow anyone testing to send a picture and the ability to check their transmission on these pages almost immediately anytime, both South and North Tasmania. If you missed the net, there is an archive of these SSTV nights on Ken and Steve's website or on the NTARC website under blogs, and that's 73 from Andre VK7 Zulu Alpha Bravo. And WWFF Sota Pota and Iota weekly wrap-up. Tuesday the 3rd of March 2026 marks World Wildlife Day. To celebrate, a special WWFF certificate will be issued to any amateur radio operator who activates a VKFF park on World Wildlife Day 2026. It's a great opportunity to show support for the day and add a unique certificate to the shack wall. As noted last week, Lance VK7TO activated the Rodway Range Summit. Lance put in a solid effort on the key, logging 7 CW contacts across 40 and 80 metres, and bagged 10 points for his efforts. Jim VK7JZ and Hayden VK7HH teamed up for an activation of Hart's Peak Summit. Operating SSB on 40 metres and 20 metres, they logged 7 contacts each and made the most of a great day out, Portable earning themselves 10 points each for the activation. Al VK7 Alpha Nancy and Peter VK7 ZPE activated Den Hill in the Northern Midlands, and both operators enjoyed a steady flow of contacts throughout the activation. Matt VK7 MAT returned to Trevelyan Nature Recreation Area for his 14th activation of the park. He logged 26 contacts on both 40 and 20 metres SSB, including a park-to-park contact into New Zealand. While on site, he was treated to a low-level flyover by TRO-J63, a Lockheed Martin C-130J30 Super Hercules operated by the RAAF. Certainly not something encountered on every activation. And that's 73 from Matt, VK7MAT. And QSL News, the Inward QSL Bureau information. The current updated list of QSL cards held by the VK7 Inwards Bureau as at the 25th of February 2026 is in the email edition. Do you see your call sign in the list below? Well, if you have taken up your call sign after 2019, would you please let Herman know so he can cull QSL cards from the list for QSOs that are dated prior to 2019. Email to westyh, so WESTYH, at ozemail.com.au, and that's 73 from Herman, VK7HW, the manager of the WIA VK7 Inwards QSL Bureau. And news from the Northwest. Video versions of the VK7 AR News, and a reminder for listeners that the VK7 Amateur Radio News broadcast is also available in video with a video adaption version encoded by Tony VK7AX. It includes video where possible of activities and events within the amateur fraternity of VK7 that I have permission to share. For instance, photos exchanged on the weekly SSTV Tassie Net club activity is also included where possible, where I have permission to share. It is relayed via the video stream at 9:30 a.m. on Sunday mornings and archived to YouTube sometime on Sunday. Links to the video stream and the YouTube archives can be found on the text version of the broadcast, and enjoy 73 from Tony VK7AX. And news from the North, SOTA WWFF Parks Group and the Summits on the Air Worldwide Flora and Fauna Parks Group meets twice weekly, Mondays and Fridays, 10:30 a.m. until 12 noon, at the Glebe Garden Cafe, Henry Street, Launceston. And for more information, contact Al, VK7 Alpha November, on 0417 354 410. And that's 73 from Al, VK7 Alpha Nancy. And the Northern Tasmanian Amateur Radio Club Incorporated. And we have a couple of items left over from last week's club technical night. Both were from Colin, VK7ZCF. And firstly, a demonstration of his prowess on the lathe. Colin recently picked up a solidly constructed telescopic antenna online, only to discover a small problem when it arrived. The antenna and the mounting base were both male fittings, each with different diameters and thread pitches. Most of us would have jumped straight back onto the internet in search of an adapter, but not Colin. With a lathe in his shed and the skills to match, he simply turned up a piece of aluminium, bored it out, tapped and threaded, and produced a perfect custom adapter. Problem solved. One neat homemade solution that allowed him to get back to his radio experimentation. Now, secondly, also almost the opposite, from removing aluminium on a lathe when making an object to adding plastic filament to a 3D printer to create an object. And for this 3D print object, can you imagine an old-style umbrella stand, the type with the central pole and a disc at the top, with large openings to put your umbrella vertically through and a base to hold the tips off the floor? Well, Colin printed one. Only it is a very much smaller, about 250 millimeters tall, with lots of circular holes in the top disc, not for miniature umbrellas, but a prototype stand in which to place all his spare and unused whip antennas for his handheld radios. It keeps them in one handy spot and easy to carry when moving them about. This was a proof of concept and already has undergone some design modifications. The Mark II version was already being 3D printed during the club night, so the prototype, which was no longer needed, was quickly reassigned. Its new job, a perfect dart holder, ideal for those pointy things with feathers that you throw at a dartboard. A very creative repurpose that I would not have thought of. Hopefully, Brendan, VK7 VIP, will let us know how it functioned in its new role. The next club room technical night will be a follow-on from the previous night, where Colin brought in a couple of assembled kits for test and measurement of common mode current choke effectiveness. These kits were purchased from Halibut Electronics in California, and we will commence the evening with a video presentation on the reason behind the common mode current choke, or CMCC, by the kit designer and distributor of these test jigs, Mark Smith, N6MTS. He delivered his presentation at the QSO Today Virtual Ham Expo in California in 2021. And Mark will cover the basic theory behind the common and differential mode currents and the usage of the test jig that allows a vector network analyzer, or VNA, to measure the common mode frequency response of a choke. Concentrating mainly on coaxial cable feeders and the effects on attenuation versus frequency of implementing Gordian knots, toroidal and clip-on ferrites to the feeder cable. This will give members a fresh refresh on background theory and a feel for the test procedure that Colin will demonstrate with his test jig and VNA following the presentation. And as always, blogs will be available on the NTARC website under the blogs for this broadcast. Up and coming events, the on-air test and technical net session every Wednesday night, testnet and CW course on 3.58 MHz from 7 p.m, then on the technical net on 3.567 MHz from 7:30 p.m. till 8:30 p.m, and your host for the evening is Nick, VK7 Whiskey. Clubroom's Technical Night. The next session will be on Wednesday the 4th of March and will commence at the usual time of 6:30 p.m. at the Clubrooms, Archer Street, Rochelle. And coffee mornings held every Friday in the NTARC Clubrooms, time from 10 a.m. until noon. And finally, if you have any items of news, email them to the Secretary at the following address, news@ntarc.net. All items to be received no later than 5 p.m. on the Friday prior to the broadcast. That's all, folks, and 73 from Stefan VK7ZSB, the Secretary of NTARC Inc. And you are listening to VK7 Whiskey India, and this is the VK7 Amateur Radio News broadcast. And news from the South, the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with the Wednesday Experimenters Group, or the WEGs. Last Wednesday we started with Rex, VK7MO, in the studio, and he went through his article about the 23cm QSO Party 10th anniversary in the latest edition of AR magazine. We then went on to a discussion about the new WSJTX FT2 protocol. We then went into a graphic speaker dissection with a suitable audience warning, hi, and the speaker was polling, and the dissection attempted to show what was going wrong with the speaker voice coil starts rubbing on the permanent magnet. We then went into the Yaesu MH36D8 microphone adventure, replacing a curly cord. Not as simple as you think. We finished with the Australian Space Weather Report and our recently spotless sun and future events. We go into a fortnight's recess, as the next 2 Wednesday nights are our presentation and forum nights. So see you back in the studios on the 18th of March 2026, and that's 73 from yours truly, Justin, VK7TW. And March presentation night, Meshcore Communications Platform, and this Wednesday night, Heath, VK3TWO, 6TWO, will be taking us on a tour of Meshcore. Remember packet radio in the 80s? Well, Meshcore is a modern equivalent on the 900 MHz ISM band, so you don't have to be a licensed amateur. Meshcore is developed by hams but available to all, and is decentralized text-based communication platform. It is designed to run on commodity affordable development boards and uses LoRa radios to create a meshed network. Meshcore works over long distances and suboptimal RF conditions due to the underlying LoRa radios. It uses flea power and has a small physical footprint. It is ideal for out-of-band communication that don't rely on traditional telecommunications or electrical infrastructure to support it. Great for the preppers out there. Messages are sent from a companion device, which are then relayed through repeaters to reach the destination nodes. And guess what? There's even bulletin boards or BBSs out there, laugh out loud. Well, many of the Meshcore repeaters are standalone solar powered, so look mum, no internet required. When all else fails, the Meshcore nodes, like the cockroaches, will survive. Oh, and for those hardcore packet radio users out there, you can run APRS over LoRa on Meshcore. There are many different Meshcore setups available and prolific documentation, so Heath will be decoding where and what information is available. When? Well, this Wednesday, March the 4th, 7:30 p.m, Queen's Domain Clubrooms and streamed, 73 from the Reese Committee. And our March forum nights, well, 2 metre 70cm transceiver testing. This forum night will be a little bit different, and we'll have some HP and IFR communication service monitors and power supplies available for testing your 2 and 70cm radios and All-Star and DMR nodes. we're looking to cover the following tests, and these may be subject to change: frequency, power out, deviation, synad, distortion, receiver sensitivity, DTMF level if available, and audio level. And have a suggestion for some other tests? Well, let us know. Due to time constraints, we'll only be testing and letting you know where things might need some attention, and it is the responsibility of the owner to make these adjustments. We hope to see you along with your radios when Wednesday, March the 11th at 7:30pm, Queen's Domain Club Rooms, 73 from the Reese Committee. Well, save the date. Well, April 2026 is our Reese 3D printing month, and starting on the 1st of April 2026, our forum night of club members bringing along AR-related 3D printing. And then April the 8th, we see Praj, which is VK7 MPB, VK4 MPB, presenting on spectacular examples of 3D printing, and that's 73 from the Reese Committee. And regular VK7 gatherings and events over the coming months. VK7 regular gatherings: Sewing Circle Net daily, 3.640 MHz commencing at 6:30pm. Statewide SSTV Net every Thursday night via the North-South Link, VK7 RAF RJG from 7:30pm. Statewide Microwave QSO Party following the Sunday broadcast callbacks on 1296.15 MHz FM. One group in the Greater Hobart area and another in the Greater Launceston area. And then North-South digital contacts on 1296.2 MHz using Q6560B stations in the Launceston area transmitting on the odd minute, and Southern stations on the even minute. Reese 6 metre AM net on 53.1 MHz every day from 4:30pm. SOTA WWFF group meeting Mondays and Fridays 10:30am until 12. Midday at Glebe Gardens Cafe, Henry Street, Launceston. NTARC TestNet and TechNet sessions every Wednesday. TestNet CW course on 3.58 MHz from 7pm and TechNet on 3.567 MHz from 7:30pm until 8:30pm. NTARC technical night sessions Wednesday the 4th of March from 6:30pm in the club rooms, Archer Street, Rochelle. NTARC coffee mornings are held every Friday at the NTARC club rooms. Time is from 10am until noon in the Rochelle club rooms. NW VK7 Wednesday at 8pm local. The Northwest Tassie Amateur Repeater Group net on 2 metres VK7 RMD and All-Star Node 56780. And the Northwest VK7 Thursday commencing at 8:30pm local. The Northwest Tassie 2 metre DX net on 144.190 upper sideband. And VK7 events. Reese the 4th of March, presentation Mesh Core communications platform with Heath, VK3 TWO in the club rooms and streamed. Alara 8th of March, International Women's Day. Reese 11th of March, forum night, 2 metre and 70 centimetre transceiver testing in the club rooms. VK 21 and 22 of March, the John Moyle Memorial Field Day contest. VK7 the 28th of March, meet the Voice Barbecue at 11am in Ross. Worldwide, 18th of April, the IARU World Radio Day. VK 7th and 8th of November, the Tassie Hamicon Amateur Radio Conference, UTAS, Sandy Bay. And a reminder to all those people rostered for next week's broadcast, the newsreader VK7ZIR repeaters Reese, NTARC and in the Northwest, thanks to NWTARC, WCRG, NWCRRA, VK7AX, JH and DC, 160 7GS, 87 ALH, 47 JGD, 27 TW, 10 7JGD, UHF CB24 and HF CB24, VK7 FMAC, and DMR Talk Group 5 and D-Star Reflector 91 Charlie from the Digital Group. A big thank you to everyone who contributed to and supported this week's broadcast of the VK7 Amateur Radio News. That's it for this week, and if you missed the live transmission, remember you can always catch the rebroadcast Tuesday at 8pm on a VK7 RAA in the north, VK7 RHT and UHF CB channel 24 and HF CB 24 in the south. Got news, stories or updates to share? We'd love to hear from you. Send them to VK7ARnews, all one word, at gmail.com. From by 9 p.m. on Friday. You can also join the conversation on the VK7 Amateur Radio News Groups.io page. Stay tuned now for callbacks on this frequency, with each relay station using their own call sign. And on behalf of the VK7 News team, this is Justin, VK7 Tangled Whiskers, wishing you a good DX and a great week ahead.